Real life stories with Liam Johnson. Subscribe and leave a like.
Madison was arguing with her mom about yet another potential groom her parents had selected for her. More precisely, Dad had already stopped arguing. He was red with indignation, huffing like a steam engine, and had stepped out onto the balcony to smoke and calm down. "Richard, honey, you have a heart condition. You shouldn't smoke." Richard just waved his hand hopelessly and nervously latched the balcony door so no one would disturb him. "You see what you've done? You upset your father. He started smoking again. Can't you just listen to the wise advice of your elders? I've lived a life. I know better." "Mom, if you've lived your life, maybe leave mine to me, for personal use, so to speak. Don't sass your mother." They were about to head to the cottage in Muskoka, Ontario for the weekend. Mom continued tossing things into the bag, no longer folding them, but just crumpling and stuffing them in. "By the way, Mom, there's no iron at the cottage, if you remember. Everything you've crammed in won't be wearable." Mom silently dumped everything from the back onto the couch and began folding it all irritably, but with exaggerated neatness. Madison sat beside her and started helping, hoping Mom had worn herself out and the lecture was over. Wishful thinking. "Benjamin is a great option. His father is. So who am I marrying, Benjamin or his father?" "Don't talk back to your mother. Benjamin, of course, but his father is..." "Yeah, I remember. The groom comes as a 2-in-1 package and the label says Daddy." I sighed. "So what if it's Daddy? He's no slacker or deadbeat. Even without Daddy, he's doing fine. Managerial position, by the way. And such a hunk. Any girl would run to him, like a young Alain Delon." "Hunk? Sickeningly sweet and spoiled beyond measure. I've always dreamed of that kind of husband," I grumbled, stacking clothes into the bag. "You're impossible. Stubborn brat." Mom stood up, hurled a sweater toward the bag, and went to the kitchen, slamming cabinet doors. Time for her drops. The ultimate argument in her favor, Madison thought. She felt a bit guilty for upsetting her parents. Now Dad was stressing and smoking on the balcony, and Mom was stressing and taking Corvalol in the kitchen. But this was her life. She'd be the one living with her husband, building a family, raising kids, growing old together. And who decided they could hand her some parent-approved husband like a delivery from a courier? Take what's brought, sign here. How they were getting on her nerves. Heck, Madison didn't even have a go-to stress reliever like her parents. She didn't smoke, locking herself on the balcony, or take heart drops. No, she'd been planning to rent an apartment and live separately from her parents for a while. She'd felt sorry for them. Mom had cried so much back then, saying her daughter was fleeing like from the plague, from her own mother. All the gratitude for her care. This morning made it clear that renting an apartment wasn't just necessary, it was urgent. When they drove to the cottage in pointed silence, the tension still hovered over them, refusing to let go. Mom was sulking at Madison for potentially blowing a great match. Dad was sulking at his daughter because he counted on gaining benefits from this merger of capitals, strengthening his business and expanding prospects, and securing a comfortable future for his daughter and grandkids. But his daughter was stubborn, letting his parents down. Finally, he restarted the conversation about Benjamin, hoping to sway and convince Madison.
Dad, better pull over.
"Why? We haven't reached the cottage yet."
You'll get there without me. I'll hitch a ride back home." Mom threw up her hands. "Daughter, you're wrong. Dad just wants the best for you. We both do. It's time for you to marry. You're at that age. And this is your secure future." "Thanks for reminding me about my age, but I'm not 40, just 25. "Well, I didn't mean age, I meant Benjamin. He's a great match. His dad is..." "I've heard this today. You're repeating yourself, Mom," Madison interrupted. "Just agree to meet Benjamin, talk. Unlike you, he positively accepts his parents' recommendations and understands that..." "Mom, you won't stop, will you? Then I'd rather meet the first random worker at the plant gate and marry him. but I'll choose my own husband, myself. The cottage weekend was ruined. Everyone hoped to relax, but instead they stressed and sulked. The barbecue burned, they forgot the tomatoes and cheese at home, and the fishing was a total flop. Dad didn't catch even a small crappie. That's what happens when you head to nature in a negative mood. Richard's gunmetal gray Audi pulled up Monday at the gate of the pharmaceutical plant in Cleveland, Ohio, and furious Madison jumped out. The nightmare of her parents nagging her about marrying Benjamin continued, no matter how she resisted. Daughter, the Pavels are coming to us for dinner tonight. At 7. Be good and don't be late. Oh, really? Great. Then by 7, I'll find my own groom and marry him. I don't get it. So you'll be at dinner? I will, Dad, since you want it so much, but with my own groom, just so you know. And Madison slammed the door irritably and hurried toward the gate. Monday's a tough day. The folk wisdom was in full force, proving its truth. Madison misjudged her strength, yanking the stiff door, and an ugly, greasy scratch appeared on the toe of her boot. Annoying. These were her favorite boots. Approaching the turnstile and swiping her card, Madison hurried through, and the gate whacked her painfully because the card didn't work for some reason. Madison stumbled back right into the arms of some young man. She felt his strong hands support her and gently set her steady, and he said, "Monday's a tough day, but that's no reason to trample employees at the gate." "Sorry," Madison muttered. Swiping the card again, this time the green light came on and she passed through, heading to her lab, but after a few steps, she stopped and turned. She carefully looked at the man she'd so awkwardly fallen into. Young, lean but not skinny, more like athletic. Intelligent face, well, strong hands, she'd already experienced that. Madison glanced at his badge. Technician in the production department. Not the most advantageous match, but she'd promised Dad to bring a groom to dinner. No retreating. If she wanted to show up at dinner with a fiancé and win this standoff with her parents.
Young man, would you agree to have dinner with me tonight? Did I charm you in those 5 seconds? He smiled. What a smile he had. Madison even forgot what to say next. She just stood there like a statue, staring at her interlocutor. Maybe we should introduce ourselves first. I'm Tyler. I'm Madison. The dinner is actually like a protest. My fight against my parents' pressure. Don't be offended, but you have to bail me out. Don't refuse. Oh, familiar theme. He smiled again. I'm in. Let's meet in the cafeteria during break and discuss details without rushing, because I'm late for the department now. Madison also glanced at the large round clock above them, its arrow relentlessly approaching 8 o'clock. Oh yes, I'm about to be late too. See you in the cafeteria. She waved to her unexpected acquaintance and hurried to the nearest elevator, while he went to the other wing of the building. Work piled up in the lab. Immersed in tasks, Madison almost missed break. Remembering, she threw on her jacket and hurried to the cafeteria. There she took chicken Kiev, arugula salad, and a glass of compote. Quickly scanned the room and saw her morning acquaintance waving. What was his name? She hadn't even paid attention. Anton? Alex? Awkward. Can't ask again. Tyler, I think. Yes, he said Tyler. Madison plopped down at the table, setting her tray. Her interlocutor had already finished lunch and was sipping his compote. I thought you were joking and wouldn't come. Marrying the first guy you meet takes real courage. Where would I go from a submarine? And it's not marriage yet. Just meeting the parents, Madison shrugged. Cutting the tip of the chicken, fragrant amber butter flowed out. I started this myself. And since we're pulling off this scam, we'll have to switch to you right away. Fiancés addressing each other formally is weird nowadays. Strange. You're right, dear, Tyler agreed easily. I'm curious how you'll back out later. Okay, so where should I show up? And at what time? Oh, and we need to exchange numbers. Wow, you're a natural con artist. Who have I gotten involved with? A con artist? More like an adventurer. Isn't that what you need today? Tyler replied seriously. No hint of a smile.
Madison scribbled her address on a napkin. Here, tonight at 7. Well, arrive a bit early, at least 10 minutes. Then she dictated her number, waited for his incoming call, and saved the contact. Then they got talking, and Madison somehow naturally spilled what had been bothering and weighing on her lately. Everything that had built up in her soul and caused this outburst of protest. Her parents were nagging and pressuring her, and strangely, more intensely over the years. They didn't pressure like this in school, or even in med school. She hadn't moved out yet, felt sorry for Mom. Dad was used to commanding everyone because he held a high post in the city administration in Cleveland. And it popped into his head that he should strengthen his position, cover his back by uniting interests with a colleague who held a similar position in Toronto, Ontario. And they'd been friends since student days, even lived in the same dorm room for all 5 years, partied together. Then, of course, they grew up, got serious, started families, advanced successfully in their careers. One friend had a daughter, the other a son. They continued visiting each other often, though in different cities. By then, the offspring of that high official had finished university and been placed in a cozy spot, a managerial role. All that was left was to arrange a beneficial marriage, and their family's future would be perfectly secured. Especially since he consciously accepted his father's choice, considering it absolutely right. Lack of love didn't bother him at all. People live without love. The main thing is strong backing, decent family, career, enviable position. Madison, of course, had known Benjamin for many years, since childhood. But it never occurred to her that Dad would one day insist on their marriage, and Mom would fully support him. Essentially, they were all twisting her arm together, ignoring her interests. And no one expected that compliant and obedient Madison would rebel and shatter their grand plans. After all, everything had been so wonderfully planned and thought out. Well, that's how it is. Doesn't it surprise you that I gave in to an inexplicable impulse and spilled all the details of my life to a complete stranger, though we met just a few hours ago? No surprise. I have a parent just like yours. I'll tell you sometime. What's interesting is they really do care about your cloudless future, and you bucked. They do, but I hoped to meet true love, not be sold like a mare at the market into a comfortable stall, and talk only about money. Tyler listened silently without interrupting. After hearing her confession, he nodded thoughtfully. Madison felt he fully understood her, but some vague unease still lingered. They'd met so strangely. Break was ending, time to hurry back to work. They briefly wished each other a good day and parted ways again. Madison was already a bit regretting getting into this adventure with a fake fiancé. If she had more time, she'd come up with a better plan. But she'd have to endure tonight and then dump him. He's weird anyway. Whatever. In the evening at the gate, Dad picked up Madison in his car. He always picked her up, or in rare cases sent a driver if he couldn't make it. Well, calmed down? He looked at his daughter, who was smiling slyly. Yes, his willful daughter replied carefree. And as promised, my fiancé is coming to visit us. What fiancé? Richard exclaimed in surprise. Mine, the one I chose, myself, not forced on me by my parents.
You again? You're continuing? Well, let's see what kind of fiancé. The last word he spat out almost with contempt. Dad said no more, lips pressed tight, pondering his own thoughts. Madison was silent too. She still had to hear Mom's outrage, but they'd have to accept it. Exactly at 6:50, the intercom buzzed in their apartment. Madison's parents understood she'd arranged a meeting with some stranger she even called her fiancé, to spite them. Well, nothing to do now, not in front of guests. But later, they'd try to talk her out of it. Madison let in the guy with a bouquet, which she handed to her mom with a smile. The bouquet was gorgeous. unlike the guy. Suit and tie, simple. Shoes a bit worn. Ordinary worker, living paycheck to paycheck. And his salary, judging by everything, modest. Splurged on the bouquet, now he'll have to tighten his belt. Daughter reads romantic books and thinks paradise with a beloved is possible even in a shack. Well. Mom accepted the bouquet, thanked her reservedly, and gestured for the guests to go to the living room where the tables sparkled with crystal and exuded incredible aromas from luxurious dishes. Madison seated Tyler next to her, briefly introducing everyone first. Dinner passed in a tense atmosphere. The Pavels, Benjamin's parents, frowned. Benjamin sat opposite and threw puzzled glances at Madison. They hadn't seen each other for a couple years, and in that time, Madison had become a real beauty. It annoyed him even more that his parents' plans were about to collapse. And she brought some guy in a shabby suit? What a choice. "And you work with our Madison, Tyler?" Mom asked innocently. Madison glared at her, but she pretended not to notice. "Yes, I'm a technician in the tablet production department." "All professions are important, all professions are needed," Benjamin interjected mockingly, scanning his rival contemptuously. The guests didn't linger, didn't want to stay, even skipped dessert, decided to drive home to Toronto, not stay at a hotel. And Benjamin's mom suddenly had a bad headache. The Pavels hastily said goodbye and left. Tyler also started gathering, said goodbye to Richard. Madison followed him to the hallway. "Are you going to see him out too?" Mom was amazed. "What do you mean? We're just taking a short walk in the fresh air. Good for bed. And I'll escort Madison right to the door, don't worry. Thanks for dinner. Everything was incredibly delicious." Tyler gallantly kissed Mom's hand, helped Madison with her jacket, and they left. Mom sighed. What a gallant and attentive guy this Tyler is. Even remembered to thank for dinner and kissed her hand. Well, Ben just muttered goodbye, and that's it. Seems like a nice young man too, this Tyler. Too bad he's poor. The proverbial shack with a beloved. Is that what Mom wants for her daughter?
Madison walked along the park alley next to Tyler, arm in arm, amazed at how good, cozy, and calm she felt now. They'd met just a few hours ago, but it felt like she'd known him her whole life, like Benjamin, whom, it turns out, she didn't know at all. Today at the table, he showed his true face, and Madison didn't find it attractive at all. Handsome, with a flaw. "So, you're a technician in the department? I wasn't wrong." "So, my profession matters to you? But you're a lab worker too, so we're kind of equals." "I'm the lab supervisor, but not to brag, just so you know more about me." Madison felt awkward. It came out like bragging. "And this idea of yours that I'm your fiancé, you haven't changed your mind?" "Yeah, I saw who they're trying to marry you off to. From that, you really should run without looking back. Even to a technician. Even to a loader. I get you. I haven't changed my mind." Madison exhaled stubbornly. "And I won't back down either, and I'll agree to your crazy proposal. I mean, I already have. Now only forward. You?" "Me too. Only forward. Do you think I'm a capricious, flighty daddy's girl with only wind in her head? I want to live my life. If I'm wrong now, it's me who'll deal with my mistakes later. But they're mine, my own. Not forced by parents for their benefit." "Exactly. No benefit in me for you now." Tyler laughed. "Mentally ready for the shack?" "What shack?" "The one where paradise is. With your beloved. With me." He stopped, and Madison stopped too. Then they kissed for a long time, and the world around disappeared. Finally, they came to their senses. Time to head home. And Madison said, "Ready for paradise with my beloved. Yes, you can call me frivolous, but somehow I've never been so sure of what I'm doing." "Well, I'm no less frivolous then. But strangely, I've never been so sure of what I'm doing either. So we're a match. As they say, two boots make a pair. They laughed and headed back to Madison's house. Mom was probably worrying already. And then, sometime later, Tyler talked to his father. His dad was a big businessman, owner of factories, newspapers, ships, including that pharmaceutical plant in Cleveland where both Madison and Tyler worked. Tyler had left home out of stubbornness to prove to his father he could live alone, without his help. And ironically, the trigger was parental pressure. His dad wanted to marry him off to his partner's daughter. Business strengthening, beneficial match, and all that. Even though the bride was as beautiful as she was dumb. Her head was only about shopping and yachts. She only chirped about spending carefree time on cruises and shopping in Europe's trendiest boutiques. Tyler got bored of that quickly. Dad, I give up. I pass. I can't stand this empty doll another day. I have nothing to talk to her about. Her head is only parties and clothes.
Son, she's a girl. That's how it is. Pretty girls love pretty lives. And thanks to the beneficial match, you can provide her that pretty life for 100 years ahead. Is that happiness, Dad? In general, he resisted, and his father pressed more, until finally Tyler threw his things into a bag and left their big house. Didn't even take his car. You'll come running back begging. You're used to denying yourself nothing, his father thundered. We'll see, he hissed through his teeth. As I got used, I'll get unused, but I won't be anyone's trained poodle. 2 years passed like that. His father called occasionally, but mostly checked on his affairs through employees, watched from afar, and was surprised. Tyler started living very modestly, rented a modest apartment, commuted to work by bus, and never late. It both comforted and alarmed his father that his son was so stubborn but responsible. He was proud. His son had matured. He'd make a good leader, replacing his father in business someday. After their strange, impulsive meeting, Tyler and Madison started meeting often and soon really filed for marriage. It started with childish stubbornness to go against parents, but turned into them not being able to live a day without each other. Soon, Tyler's father called. Well, son, isn't it time to end your voluntary exile and poverty with your education? I'm managing fine, Dad. Everything's normal. No poverty. Living like others. Getting married soon. I know. That's why I'm calling. Reported already, huh? Well, well. And her, your chosen one. Does she know who you are? Maybe she sniffed out a beneficial match, hooked you cleverly, and is pretending? No, Madison's not like that. You'll get to know her yet. And what's her benefit, Dad? She's seen my apartment. More, she's moved in with me. We commute to work together by bus. We're all good. Well, I surrender. You proved you can live without me. But I realized I can't live without you anymore. Come back, son. Our big house is so empty without you. You beat your old father. Was it about winning? I think I was trying to prove it to myself first. Figure out what I'm worth. And not for nothing I left home, see? Now I know the plants work from the inside, see the flaws to fix. And I found a girl who chose me, not my business. Actually, she found me. There were many guests at the wedding. Many unfamiliar to Madison because Tyler's dad didn't skimp on organizing a lavish celebration in the fanciest restaurant because he was marrying off his only son. And Madison's dad didn't lag behind. He was giving away his only daughter. Well, advice and love. Now delight us with grandkids, Richard exclaimed, raising a toast at the long banquet table. I'm glad my stubborn daughter refused to marry without love. She didn't agree to obey me, her father, who blindly thought he wanted the best for her. Daughters just like me, same stubborn. And now she's building her family on love. What could be more important in the world, right, dear? He leaned and kissed his wife. Right. Nothing in the world is more important than love. Advice and love, my dear children. Madison's mom joined her husband's toast, looking how her daughter's eyes shone with happiness, and quietly sighed with relief to herself.
How good that it worked out without the shack.